Hello, everyone. This is a pretty intense topic, but I'm just going to jump right in because if you've pressed play, it means you're comfortable with the word trauma and you want healing for yourself or somebody you love. So, one thing I'm learning is just how important it is for somebody to give themselves self compassion, self validation, and even to let tears fall on behalf of themselves as memories come up. If you are moving forward in your life or moving forward in your healing, you will not have to go looking far for the tears, because when you get to the edge of whatever it is you're attempting to do or to face, they will rise up naturally in your heart. And that, according to Pete Walker, is actually at the core of the healing and transformation that happens, according to Walt Disney as well, and A Prince of Tides as well, the tears that heal. So the three questions to ask yourself to determine the severity of the post-traumatic stress are: number one, were you targeted while others were not? Maybe, you were receiving the main infliction of abuse within that home or that community. If you were targeted and others were not, that would create a stronger feeling of aloneness, and you would not have been trained as a child to give yourself, to see yourself through eyes of compassion. And then it would be harder to practice that as an adult. So that would increase the severity of trauma that would need to be healed later on. Number two, were you somebody who did not receive eyes of validation from at least one person who saw the depth of the abuse? So, maybe you had someone who knew that things weren't quite right in that household, but like one woman, for example, was severely abused by a sociopathic brother, and she writes about this in her book. Her name is Christine Cannonville. But her parents loved her deeply. So she was able to experience love as an adult because she practiced receiving it from them. So as an adult, she had a higher chance of being able to get help and to heal than somebody, let's say, who did not have that. Someone else I know knew about the abuse in her household when she was a teenager, but was not able to tell her directly because that could have created more tension, like at school or whatever. It was an adult at school. And this adult at school handed her a library book that informed this teenager that she was being seen, that she knew something was off, and that she, it was a book about healing and the situation. So knowing that you've been seen by somebody else really is huge. And the third thing to ask yourself to determine the severity of post-traumatic stress that you might be looking to heal is if the abuser's looks of contempt or disdain, or their actions of contempt or disdain, were not expressed physically or sexually as physical or sexual abuse. There can be a crazy making that comes with that. Also, a denial that it was that bad, or also what's called victim blaming or victim shaming, which can reduce the amount of validation and compassion and willingness to offer oneself tears. Offering oneself tears is not a popular thing to do in our culture, and I'm not talking about self-pity. I'm talking about being able to be present with yourself the way you would for a close friend or even for an animal if you heard the story of what they had been through. We cry as a culture when we hear about such stories. But when we turn toward ourselves for the same experiences, there's a tendency to run, there's a tendency to freeze, there's a tendency to fight, there's a tendency to not want to look at all at that experience. And when you don't look at it, you can't heal it. So if you've experienced any these three, you probably have a more hidden trauma that by naming it, I'm hoping that will help you get the help you need. I highly recommend Pete Walker's books on the Tao of Fully Feeling. That's spelled Tao, the Tao of Fully Feeling, where he talks about this in more detail, and his book, Complex PTSD. I wish those books were on every therapist and teachers and preachers and rabbis' bookshelves, because I think we're living in a world that has a lot of trauma, and we're not talking about the trauma. And so I think that we who are healing these things in ourselves are really can shine a light of hope onto humanity, onto others. As we heal, we can bring that forward. Okay, I think that's all for now. If you have comments or questions, please write them below. Please be sincere is the only thing I ask, and please be as clear as you can in your comment or question. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.